I recently went thrifting and bought this bag packed full of craft stuff, and it's honestly been so long since I went shopping that this is going to be a surprise for both of us. I didn't buy all of this at one store. This was definitely stuff that I picked up at a handful of different stores. I hope as I look through it, I will just be struck with the memories of what I bought and where. So let's sit down and go through it together, and it's like a whole new type of treasure chest, right? Because it's somehow a surprise for me too. Okay. Let's get into it, I guess. This I do remember buying. Clearly where was not difficult to piece back together. And I do remember kind of waffling about it because all of the little spools are cardboard, so they're clearly very chintzy, but there is a lot of thread on each one and there are so many colors. I'm sure I'll be able to use it for something. Also, I kind of just love thread as decor. I have a lot of the spool organizers on the wall. Hi, Annie. And I just like looking at it. So I don't know that I necessarily love looking at the cardboard spools, but I think the thread colors themselves are really pretty. And I'll just hang them up somewhere. And maybe someday I'll have a use for one of these colors. It happens. Oh, it's all coming back to me. Okay. Oh yeah, I forgot. Okay. So this thrift store, it's a regional chain called Thrifty Shopper, and they're one of my favorites. I like them a lot. And this one normally has some good stuff, but I kind of went through the whole thing this time and I didn't find anything. Their crafting section was like barely existent, and they kind of like juked me out because I found a packet from a vintage nylon circular, which you know are my favorite, but like there was no needles in it. It was just like the packet that had somehow ended up on the shelves, and that was disappointing. I looked all over and I never found the needles. And then as I was kind of wrapping up, waiting for my mom near the front of the store, I realized they have like a shelf in the corner that they never used to have that was all craft stuff, and there was a whole bin of yarn, and someone had donated a bunch of the same collection. Okay, so what's great about it, I'm sure I'm not getting a good camera angle on this. Okay, let me set them down for now and show you what I mean. This person, very organized, had caked up all their yarn. There was many colorways of Cascade 220. And I know because they put the ball band inside of most of the cakes. There was a lot of yarn there that I didn't purchase. But I kind of tried to pick out all of the 220 I could find, and except for a couple colorways that I didn't particularly like. And there's one of each, which makes me wonder if this was like somebody's temperature blanket or something, because there are so many very similar colorways that you couldn't make one big thing out of, right? But I was kind of feeling them because as I'm going through, I'm like, oh, there's a ball band in that one. There's one in that one. These are definitely more 220. I thought I was getting a great deal on these. It ended up being a good deal. These were marked as 99 cents a bag, or 99 cents a piece. But they were bagged up like this, like several in a bag. And when I got up to the register, it turned out they meant 99 cents per cake, which wasn't super clear because I've been to many thrift stores in the past where they kind of pre-package it and bundle it up like this so that people buy more at a time. But still, 99 cents a piece for a bunch of different Cascade 220 is fine with me. I did note on some of the ball bands that it's not the superwash kind. It's just wool. But that was really exciting. I'm going to have to somehow add this to my stash, photograph it, and add it all to stash. And then in here, I remember, is the only other things that I got at this store, which was, I thought this was stinking cute. This is like, it can't be that old because it's from Big Lots, but that's like not a recent Big Lots label, right? This has got to be 20 years old. Super cute Halloween I guess it's called glitter, but I would call it like confetti or something. But they're really cute cutouts, and it was 99 cents. And I can't help it. Even the packaging is so cute and like retro. I'm not thinking about Halloween though. I'm not. I'm thinking about summer. I can't keep getting distracted like this. Here's my receipt. So I guess total for the glitter, this adorable strawberry cup, which was I gonna leave this behind? Obviously not. Hey, ma'am, I need that. So there's this pretty strawberry cup that I don't plan on using as a drinking cup, but I'll probably just store some crochet hooks or something in it in the craft room. I love this. Got the cup. I got my Halloween confetti and all of that yarn. This whole package for $14.97. All right, okay, I remember now. So there's a really, really nice thrift store that my mom and I both love. By the way, I don't think I mentioned that this whole shopping trip was for Mother's Day. Why is it that every time I try to do a thrift haul, both cats come out of the woodwork? So there's one thrift store that I went to with my mom for our little Mother's Day weekend thrifting trip is one that we both love, and it's in Ithaca called Ithaca Reuse. And it's got everything. It's not just a thrift store. It's got all sorts of great wealth of like hardware bits and bobs and like house pieces, like fixtures and furniture and all sorts. It's got a ton of great stuff every time. And even the craft section is just like these giant bins of buttons or of knitting needles or thread or what have you. And they've got it really well organized for the amount of stuff that they've got going on. So I kind of dug through all of those bins and just cherry picked my favorites because that's what you do there. So I did come away with some zippers. As discussed on the channel in the past, I love to collect sewing supplies more than I love using them, but when it comes down to actually doing a sewing project, I do love it so much more when I'm able to use thrifted or salvaged materials. It makes it that much more satisfying for me. So I do always stock up on zippers. And I got a couple spools of thread. They have a whole big bin of thread. Honestly, I think I just like the spool itself on this one. Look at this nice vintage label, and it's actually wooden, and so is this one. Like I said, I use thread as decor. I have my spool organizers on the wall, color-coded, and I don't know, I guess these colors just struck me because they definitely had like hundreds of spools of thread, and they must not have been super reasonably priced or else I would have bought a bunch, but these two struck my fancy. And then in the whole bin of knitting needles, one pair of nylons. They're a larger size. I do have a lot of probably this size and around this size. I need more smaller ones, if anything, but I'm not going to turn down any pair of nylon needles for $1. And then this one is a little treasure chest in and of itself. I have not gone through this yet. Our last stop of this shopping trip was a big antique store in Owego, New York that's in an old department store, and I love that store, but I haven't been there for years, and I have been meaning to go back and talking about going back for a long time. So Mom and I made the trip. We were a little rushed, not like super rushed, but it's a huge store with so many booths, and we got there like a little before an hour before close. We rushed, but ended up having about an hour to go through the store. And there was a lot of various like knitting or sewing stuff around. There was a couple other things that I waffled about and decided not to get. I found a bunch of my Corel pattern, so I didn't bring that up with me. I bought this Ziploc baggie of sewing stuff, but also the dishes that we use in our house are a vintage Corel pattern from the 1970s called Woodland Brown, and I just love it. I mean, like, obviously I love vintage patterned things and like vintage aesthetic in general, but a few years ago when we were deciding which dishes to get, I knew I wanted to get a vintage Corel pattern because I have so many positive memories attached to the Corel patterns that my mom had and that my grandma had, and it's just, I don't know, I love a solid geometric print, or like a very, solid is the word coming to mind, a very distinct floral print, and I just think Corel Pyrex patterns are the best of both worlds for that, and I truly love them. So the one that I decided I really loved when I was out thrifting was Woodland Brown. I came across a couple plates at a thrift store one day and I fell in love with it. I bought those plates and my husband and I have been slowly accruing the whole set ever since. Honestly, we've got almost every piece of the set except for salt and pepper shakers barely exist anymore, and a couple of the more rare Pyrex pieces. But I love my Woodland Brown set, and when we were at this antique store, I found a whole bunch. Anyway, this is such a tangent, but anyway, if you're here, you like thrift hauls, and maybe you're happy to hear about my super exhilarating stack of vintage dishes that I brought home at the same time as this. But I also bought this bag and have not looked through this bag yet. I mean, obviously, it's clear. I could see pretty well in the store what's in here, but why don't we go through it piece by piece now? Because they look really cute. And I don't remember how much it was. This is where the sticker was, but I believe it was somewhere around $12, if I'm not mistaken. 12 or 15 maybe. Some very large spools. So at this point, my second camera overheated and shut off, so I don't have the overhead shot to correspond with the main video anymore. But luckily, my primary camera kept rolling, so I have all of the original speaking footage and reactions to everything. So I filmed a little bit of B-roll to try to demonstrate what I was talking about, but it's not quite gonna line up anymore. This is a nice thick thread. Use this for buttonholes for sure. Silver. I want to say navy, but it's almost like a very deep royal purple. But dusty too. Okay. I'm gonna have to get a new spool organizer for all this. I came home with a lot of thread. Okay, let's pull these. These are so stinking cute. How am I about to leave these behind in the antique store, huh? Funtastics. Accurate. This needle book, I actually already have a very similar one over here. Let's see. Oh, look at that! It's like a redesigned. That's too cool. I really love the differences. What do you think? This is like 30s or 40s? Look how they updated it. Goodness, this is so neat to look at. Yeah, this is definitely older. And she's got this little jerkin on. And look at her blouse. This has got to be like late 30s, early 40s, right? And then this one's totally 50s. How cool. And how unique, I guess, that they just keep the same image with the same people in the same poses and just update it for the times. Who knew that that would end up being one of my favorite parts? That's so neat. Not many needles left in it, but certainly quite a few. Oh, there's some falling loose here. Oh, machine needle. I see a thimble. I think the rest might be thread. If I just do this. These ones are very soft. I wonder if they're silk. I don't know. Silk thread is stronger, right? Would it be softer? I'm not sure. Pretty though. This one's just empty. Oh, these ones are silk. Oh, this one is soft too. Darning silk. Maybe that's what these are as well, because it feels the same. Very soft. Wow, this is so fun. Well, I hope you enjoyed going through our little thrift haul together. It ended up being a group activity. It was mostly thread, which I should have known, but also a lot of yarn, and also the really cool time comparison between the two different versions of Sewing Susan. Yeah, I had a lot of fun shopping, and I guess it's a good thing that I left it so long that it was kind of like rediscovering all of the things I bought all over again. So if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. I love to do thrift hauls, and I'm hoping to expand on this and maybe bring you thrifting with me sometime soon. I also do regular podcasts about my knitting, sewing, and crochet work. And I'm trying to do a little more summer content about traveling and yarn stores and yarn festivals and all the good stuff. So thanks for sticking around today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I also hope to see you in the next one. Bye!